You wake up in the morning, and for a little while, you are a different person. You're going to change your life. Today, you start the workout. Today, you read instead of scroll. Today, you become the disciplined person you have always meant to be. And for a few hours, you actually believe it. And then the evening comes. You are tired, the sofa is soft, your phone is in your hand, and every promise you made at 7 a.m. has quietly evaporated. And as you scroll, a familiar thought arrives. What is wrong with me? Why can I not just stick to anything? I must have no willpower. Stop there, because that thought is not just wrong. It is the exact reason you keep failing. You have been told your whole life that habits are a matter of willpower, that the disciplined people simply want it more, push harder, resist better. And that idea, however obvious it feels, is fighting against how your brain actually works. Once you understand what is really happening in there, you will stop blaming yourself because you will finally see that you were never fighting a battle of willpower. You were using entirely the wrong part of your brain. Start with willpower itself, because the first myth is the biggest one. Willpower feels like the tool for the job. It shows up right at the beginning of any change, full of energy, ready to force you into the gym. But here is what the research consistently finds. Willpower is not built to sustain anything. It is a starter, not an engine. And worse, it drains. It draws from the same limited pool of mental energy you use for decisions, focus, and managing your emotions all day. Every hard choice and every moment of stress pulls from that same reserve, which is exactly why you can wake up overflowing with motivation and have almost nothing left by 9 at night. It is not a character flaw. It is a fuel gauge, and by evening the tank is simply empty. So any plan that depends on you having willpower at the end of a long day is a plan designed to fail. So if willpower is not running your habits, what is? To answer that, you have to look at where habits actually live in the brain. It is not where you think. Deep beneath the wrinkled outer surface of your brain, tucked underneath everything, sits an ancient cluster of structures called the basal ganglia. This is old machinery, far older than conscious thought. It does not deliberate. It does not weigh pros and cons. It runs patterns. It takes sequences of behavior that you repeat, and it compiles them into automatic programs so they can run without you having to think at all. You're using it constantly. This morning you got out of bed, walked to the bathroom, and brushed your teeth in a specific pattern you have not consciously thought about in decades. You did not use willpower to brush your teeth. It simply ran like a program because it has been burned into your basal ganglia by thousands of repetitions. Now here is the piece that changes everything. The conscious, willpower part of you lives somewhere completely different. It lives in the prefrontal cortex, the newer, thinking region right behind your forehead. And these two systems are not the same. When a behavior is new, your prefrontal cortex has to run it, effortfully, step by step, using willpower. But as you repeat it, control quietly hands off from the effortful prefrontal cortex to the automatic basal ganglia. Which means the entire goal of building a habit is to move a behavior out of the part of the brain that uses willpower and into the part that does not. Willpower is not the engine of a habit. It is the scaffolding you use while the real structure is being built underneath. And the reason this matters so much is that once a behavior is stored down in the basal ganglia, it becomes very hard for willpower to reach it at all. It runs on its own, triggered automatically, whether you consciously want it to or not. And that word, triggered, is the key to the whole thing. Because these automatic programs do not fire at random. Each one is waiting for a signal, a cue. Every habit runs on a simple loop. A cue, then the routine, then a reward. The cue is the trigger. It might be a time of day, a location, an emotion, or simply the last thing you did. Your basal ganglia is constantly scanning for these cues, and the instant it recognizes one, It launches the matching program automatically before your conscious mind has even joined the conversation. Think about what that means for the moment you usually fail. You're on the sofa, tired, and you reach for your phone to scroll, the exact thing you swore you would not do. You experience that as a failure of willpower. But look closer. The cue, sitting on the sofa, feeling tired, already fired. The program, reach for phone, already launched. By the time your conscious mind shows up to fight it, the habit is already running. You are trying to use willpower at the one moment it cannot possibly win, after the trigger has already been pulled. This is why just trying harder almost never works. You are bringing willpower to a fight that was already decided the instant the cue appeared. You are engaging the wrong part of the brain at the wrong moment against a system that was specifically built to bypass conscious effort. So what actually works? Not more willpower, better design. And it follows directly from how the machinery runs. First, stop relying on the moment of temptation and start controlling the cue. Because the cue is where the habit truly begins. It is the only place you can win easily. If you want to read instead of scroll, do not put yourself on the sofa with your phone and try to resist. That fight is already lost. Instead, engineer the trigger. Leave the book on your pillow. Charge your phone in another room entirely. You are not fighting the program. You are removing the thing that launches it and providing a new cue for the behavior you actually want. Second, make the reward immediate. Your basal ganglia learns through reward, but it learns from rewards that arrive right away, not months later. This is the cruelty of good habits. The gym pays off in a year. The dopamine hit of the phone pays off in a second, so your brain wires in the phone. So you have to give the good habit an immediate reward your brain can feel now. Something you genuinely enjoy attached to the behavior the moment you finish it. And third, be patient in a very specific way. You have probably heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit. That is a myth, and believing it makes you quit. The actual research found it takes 66 days on average for a behavior to become automatic, and for some people and some habits, well over 200. So when you're on day 25 and it still feels like effort, that is not proof that you have failed or that you lack willpower. That is exactly what day 25 is supposed to feel like. The automatic program is still being written. You just have to keep feeding it repetitions until it finishes. So go back to that person on the sofa at the end of the day, phone in hand, quietly deciding they are a failure. That person was never the problem. They were simply trying to win an impossible fight, using conscious willpower against an automatic system at the exact moment that system had already taken over. You do not need to become more disciplined. You do not need to want it more. You need to stop fighting your habits at the moment they fire and start designing the cues that fire them. Because the disciplined people you envy are almost never winning on willpower. They have simply built a life where the right behaviors are triggered automatically and the wrong ones are never cued at all. They're not stronger than you. They just stopped relying on strength and started working with the machine.